Hey, what's up everyone? Foxy here, and I wanted to give a quick update to my Righteous Fire Lich build and what I've changed now. I'm at 300 monoliths. Now, Easter holidays are approaching, so I'm going to try and do this in one take, so if I make any mistakes, you imagined it. This video is basically going to recap very quickly on how the build works, and then go into the big changes I've made now I'm at higher monoliths. So if you watch this on its own, it'll be fine, but if you want more in-depth video, you can look at the video before where I was doing it sort of early endgame progression. So a quick recap on how this works. Basically, I have these boots. That turns my Aura of Decay into fire. And actually, the zombies alone, you'll see, max out my health regen. But with enemies, that's even more. That's really, really good. And then obviously, our ward is also capped out because of our passive tree. So a nice defensive package. Also, these zombies explode, resummon themselves, and as they explode, they cast Sacrifice and Infernal Shade, making it a really comfy auto-bomber build that's really good at clearing echoes. Now, Righteous Fire is always a bit of a mean build, but I've actually found this really good fun. So we're going to go into basically the big changes on the next bit on the planner and the kind of the optimal build. But the biggest change I made from the last video was with Reaper Form. Now, one of my viewers basically called me an idiot, and he was right for not using Reaper Form. I was trying to avoid it. Every single Lich build uses it, but there's a good reason for it. The reason I thought we could drop it is it doesn't synergize with our fire very well. But what I didn't really think about is kind of how comfy it is, what a defensive package it gives, because this node right here gives us basically more armor per intelligence point, and this node here gives us more necrotic resistance, and then this just gives us sort of flat, nice damage. Now, our build, to quickly recap, is using this, which gives us 100% more armor, and this that gives us more ward per second per uncapped necrotic resistance. So it's really comfy with Reaper Form, and to be honest, the Hungering Souls that I had in the other guide just wasn't pulling its weight damage-wise and was taking up too much mana. Now, for those that are having a heart attack just looking at my infantry, apologies. I was fiddling with a few things, and when I was doing the B-roll footage, I wanted to make sure this guy didn't use 2 rings of red rings of Atlaria, because I just don't think that's that realistic at this point. Maybe it is for some, but not for all. So basically, I took those out, and the funny thing about this is actually the B-roll footage, I didn't realize I didn't refix my resistances when I took those rings out. So I was using completely scuffed resistances in that footage, and it still kind of worked and was pretty good defensively. So that was a really good sign. So what I really want to do now is kind of go into the actual big changes I made, which we'll do in the planner where I've put kind of an ideal layout of what we can do. So first of all, let's just quickly go over the skills. So skill-wise, we're still using Aura of Decay, obviously. It's what we use for Righteous Fire. It's the big circle of fiery doom. There's not a lot of change from my last video. We're basically stacking this up a bit higher. We're still taking these nodes because this shreds all the fire resistance off our enemies, and we basically can scale that to the moon as well. With intelligence, so that's the stacking with our intelligence, which is great. This is buffing our minions, and the rest is making our Aura of Decay better. Our zombies do really, really good damage. We've got this node here for them to resummon themselves, which combined with the ring, which I'll show you in a second, and the boots that causes them to resurrect. They're basically self-sustaining. They also cast Infernal Shade and Sacrifice, which are skills that we're using. So that's really, really nice as well. We're obviously turning it into fire. So if we jump to Infernal Shade, this is a huge damage bonus for us. We're igniting here, we're shredding, we're doing fire pen here. And we're just basically getting damage on this tree, and it's just a really good damage node. It felt really good leveling as well. So you can use all of these basically from as soon as you get them, would be my recommendation. Reaper Form I already went into earlier, and then Sacrifice, again, it's giving us damage over time bonuses here and here, which I went over in my other video, so I won't really go into that because this tree hasn't really changed at all. So really nice auto bomber build. You do spam zombies. You don't have to, they will summon themselves as I mentioned, but that's basically huge damage if you just hold down right click. That's all I basically do in this build. I run around right clicking and things explode. Occasionally I throw on an Infernal Shade. So it is a pretty nice auto bomber brain off build. We'll go into the gear now just before the passives. So the gear hasn't really changed from the last video too much. The biggest change here is instead of Zanguinate, which I still think is probably better for the ward per second, I put Woven Flesh, mainly because it feels comfier with Reaper, right? You're not losing as much health, you've got a load more leech, you get more health, and our build is, really health based, and we don't have to worry about critical strike avoidance with this, so we can take off our blessings and off our gear. The helmet scales to the moon with necrotic resistance, we get more ward per second, and it gives us a ton of armor, which we're also stacking. and we got some levels to zombies on this. This wand is basically boosting our intelligence of our skills, and most of our skills are intelligence based, so it's a nice wand. It also gives us minion damage for our zombies, spell damage for basically 4 of our abilities, I believe, are spells, and gives us a ton of intelligence, which scales all of our stuff as well. So that's really, really good. Nothing else really worth noting here other than this brings back more zombies. And this just gives us a load of fire resistance and fire. And we'll talk a little bit about what we can swap in the end game from these slots. This is what's giving us the double armor or 100% increased armor. Gives us ignite as well, more spell damage, chance to ignite. It's just really, really good. It's basically a must-have. The passives themselves, if we go into this again, the tree hasn't changed a lot from my last video. The biggest change is in Reaper form, we have no health regen anymore. If we're staying in Reaper form all the time, which we should be, we can't health regen. So all the nodes I had in health regen, I ripped out. So what did I put in? Well, we're still stacking intelligence and mana regen here. We're always at low life because of this node, and this is a really big part of the build, right? We are always transformed and we are always at low life. So this node here gives us a ton of health and gives us counts as low life. Why is that good? Well, it means we get triple bonus damage at all times from this node. We are always leeching because this leech ends at 66% health. We never hit that. We're always 50% max. And all these nodes basically are just giving us quality of life, more damage over time. This node here with the bonus gives us missing health gains as a ward, which is why we'll always max out a ward because we have this node and we also have this node. So we're just max out a ward. We're regenerating all our health because we're leeching so much. So our ward per second and our health per second just is insane. So again, the only thing that's going to take us out is our basically one shots. So what are we doing about that? Well, one of the things is that chest that I showed you, we can't be crit. And we're going to be stacking health as much as we can and armor in this build. So if we go here, we're stacking health and armor here. We're going to be cursing the target with our necklace, the penance. So that's going to trigger that bonus. We'll be stacking intelligence here as well, because just intelligence scales really well with our build. More fire and more damage over time. And we need the 10 points to sacrifice. So what we've got here is, again, more health, more intelligence, and a little bit more vitality there as well. So that's the passive solved. Well, not solved, but that's what I did, basically. So for the blessings, we'll skip the idols for a second. For the blessings, we have here armor. That's going to be really, really big for our build, as mentioned. We have increased armor again. So armor stacking is really big for us. This node is just giving us more resistances to help balance out our resistances. We've got a chance to apply Ignite on hit, and we've got some mana as well, because this build can get a bit mana starved. So the blessings are pretty self-explanatory. I think this node is probably the most important, the chance to apply Ignite on hit. I've just noticed that my poison is not max. Don't worry about that. This is like an average. You will obviously want to cap all your resistances. Yeah, so that's basically the build in a nutshell. I want to be quick because I did a really in-depth video in the last one, but we're going to quickly talk about the idols as well. The reason I picked this idol is armor per idol in a refracted slot. This is basically giving us sort of 256 armor. So I put in some sort of good idols. I don't think this is perfect. I personally would change this to a corrupted 3 wide idol and then put another idol here to gain an extra 250 potential armor. And then I just put sensible things in here. And one of the big call outs, right, is we're always on low life and we're always transformed. So those nodes are really big for us. So we've got increased damage while transformed here. We've got increased spell damage while on low life. We've got increased damage while transformed. And you just want to balance a few things out. You might want to get a bit ignite chance, damage over time. Frailty on hit's nice because it reduces the enemy's damage to you. And then you can like stack mana, health, whatever you feel to make the build a little bit more comfy, really. Now, there's probably a better setup than this, but this is the one that I've kind of worked with, and it's been working well for me. So, lastly, I wanted to cover off the kind of optimal end game, what I would do if I was to keep going on this. Now, obviously, this build is a bit of a meme. Righteous Fire has always been a bit of a meme. It's not an amazing boss killer. It's just a comfy clearer of maps with the potential to scale into bigger content if you invest, right? So 2 things I think you could change about this build to get more value. I think this ring isn't really needed. It's comfy to get more zombies. It's not a must-have. Red ring straight into that slot. And I'd put another red ring here as well, because that's going to reduce the damage you take. Let me just put that in quickly just to show for the people who might not know what that is. So this ring gives you, the health regen does nothing for us, but it gives us all resistances, all attributes, mana regen, dodge, and 10% less damage per ring for 180 stats. So what I would do at the end game is I'd put those 2 rings in, which I already have. That will then solve a lot of our resistance pressure. It would also allow us to get more attributes, and maybe you need to throw on an attribute somewhere like here on your gloves to hit that 180. And then obviously you're going to use the same old slams on the legendary. So the order of importance we want on our damage affixes is the elemental damage over time is best. So you can roll up to 220 on that. Followed by fire damage if you can get that, because again, that's quite a high scaler. Let me see if I can find fire on any of my gear here. Yeah, fire damage here. And if you get T7 of that, that's going to be really good as well. And then the next kind of best one after that is damage over time. Some pieces of gear literally can't get elemental damage over time. So basic damage over time is nice for Aura of Decay, but fire trumps damage over time on its own. And spell damage is also kind of good as well, because a lot of our abilities are spells. But I would say if you had to pick elemental damage over time first, then fire damage, or you could switch the 2 round if you want to do more damage with the zombies and less damage with the Aura of Decay. But it's kind of your own choice. And then damage over time, basic, and spell damage are kind of the next ones. Intellect is good as well to stack on stuff. And I think the thing that people miss most about these builds is how important chance to ignite is. Ignite duration and fire pen. Those are more multipliers. Where these are increased, more basically times it's your damage. So you want a good balance of increased damage and more damage on builds. And the more damage multipliers for dot builds are duration, because they last longer. So you're basically timesing it by the. So if you double the duration, you're doubling the amount of damage you're doing over that period of time. If you have more ignite chance, you're basically double ignite chance, you're doubling the amount of dots you put on an enemy. So that's going to double your damage. These are really basic. It's really complex dot damage, but high level, that's kind of why you want to do this. And fire pen basically strips the defenses they have against your fire. I did mention trying this weapon here. Some people suggested. I do think it's really good. It gives us 9 levels to basically almost all our skills, which is huge. But you don't really take advantage of this other bit here. And the 9 to our skills, although let's not underestimate how good that is. It's kind of not as good as having the spell minion damage here, the flat spell damage, the intelligence, we already get 4 to all our intelligence skills as well. We get reduced mana cost with this weapon, and that's before we even look at the fact that this summons a minion we can continually sacrifice, and also gives us a load of minion damage and resistance. So I don't think that 2-hander is better, but there is a world where you use that 2-hander. I think you could do something like really crazy. Like, I don't know if this is good. Like, I have thought about this, but you take 15% less damage taken while wielding a 2-handed melee weapon, and with 2 rings of whatever that ring's called, you basically get 35% less damage taken. You get a ton of armor, and you get a load of increased health as well. And the regenerate health doesn't matter to us. There is a world where you pushing super high corruption, you might want to switch into this tech, but for now, I'm kind of cozy with my woven flesh. It does the job. But yeah, that may be something to try. That might actually just be absolutely busted. So hopefully this has been enjoyable. It is a meme build. Like, don't get me wrong, Righteous Fire has always been a bit of a meme. But it is good fun. I've really enjoyed it. Hope you guys do too. And if you do, feel free to give us a like. Chuck a subscribe if you think I deserve it. And I'll hopefully catch you in the next video. Bye for now.